Landlords in LA have filed a lawsuit against the new law that says that properties worth over $5 million have to pay a special mansion tax. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over the whole mansion tax issue in LA. Now, I covered this whole, proposal and the new law that they passed right after the election, and man, it's crazy. Can you believe that they would actually think that, oh, we're going to start taxing mansions? So the law, I think, as written, said that properties worth over $5 million were going to be assessed a special transfer tax, and then that money was going to be used to help provide affordable housing and pay for housing for the homeless. So people thought, oh, this is such a great idea. It's going to hit those multimillionaires hard and force them to pay a little bit of extra money for their mansions. The only problem was that it didn't cover just mansions. It also covered commercial real estate, multifamily real estate, and it's going to hit a lot of people who aren't millionaires. So imagine that you are a property owner who owns a apartment complex that's worth, $30 million, but, it has 100 plus units in it. And all of a sudden if you want to sell this property, have to pay this transfer tax, the mansion tax that they passed, right? Well, that extra fee is going to mean that you're going to lose additional money. So the only way you can make up for that is by charging higher rents, right? And so, guess what? This mansion tax will actually fall back down onto people who are just renters. It's going to fall down onto people, who are just regular consumers by making prices be higher. It's not going to be good for anybody, okay? And there's a good reason why these landlords are suing over it. So yeah, I'm absolutely in agreement with these landlords. I think this tax is a horrible idea, and hopefully they get it stopped before it's actually implemented. But before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? What do you think of this so-called mansion tax, okay? It's a garbage name, okay? It was put in place by progressive politicians who are, socialists who just basically want to hit people who earned more money hard, and it has a lot of unintended consequences with it that they didn't think about when they put it in place. So yeah, I'm not surprised that they passed it, but this sort of thing, it shouldn't even be legal. So anyway, let's get into this article and see what it says. This article is coming from therealdeal.com, and it says, Landlord Group files legal challenge to LA's transfer tax. Lawsuit states Measure ULA is invalid. All right, let's see what this article says. Landlord Advocacy Group, Apartments Association of Greater Los Angeles, has joined with a nonprofit tax policy lobbying group to file the first legal challenge to Measure ULA, the controversial new City of LA transfer tax measure. Measure ULA is invalid, argues the complaint, which was filed on Thursday in LA County Court. If the Measure ULA tax increase is imposed as scheduled on April 1st, 2023, great and irreparable harm will result to plaintiffs and to all Los Angeles property owners in being required to pay unconstitutionally imposed taxes, the lawsuit states. The legal challenge hinges on the new tax's stated allocation. While some transfer taxes have been permitted in California charter cities, the complaint says transfer taxes that are special taxes, however, are prohibited for all local governments. It goes on to argue that Measure ULA is actually a special tax because the revenue it would generate is specifically dedicated to housing and homeless services. Yeah, so the money from the transfer tax, is supposed to go to provide housing for the homeless and, make housing more affordable for certain groups. I just don't, to me, it seems like they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Okay, seems like everybody wants to be Robin Hood now. We're gonna steal from the rich and give to the poor, and you know what? That doesn't work. Okay, it does not work. Only thing it's gonna do is drive away the rich. They're gonna go somewhere where they don't have to put up with this nonsense. Okay, so they have this. Oh, in L.A. County, this is the law, right? But you know what I would do if I was a wealthy person? I'd be like, well, I'm just not gonna buy in L.A. County. Okay, we're surrounded by counties. Maybe I'll buy in Orange County. Maybe I'll buy in Ventura County. But the end result is that most of these wealthy people are just going to say, "Hey, I don't want to have to deal with this nonsense." It could cause, prices to decline. I don't know what is going to happen, but the truth of the matter is that whatever happens, the result is going to be negative. To the proposal supporters, that was the whole point. The transfer tax, which passed with voters by a wide margin, is intended to alleviate the city's seemingly intractable homelessness crisis by raising a substantial new revenue source. Backers argue it will raise as much as $1 billion annually. After it passed, some supporters praised it as the largest housing ballot measure in American history. The measure, often called a mansion tax, was backed by a coalition of labor and community groups. It applies to all property sales in Los Angeles above a $5 million threshold. It imposes a 4% tax on deals between $5 and $10 million, with a tax raising to 5.5% on deals above $10 million. Yeah, and like I said in my example, you have a $20 million apartment complex, right? And you decide that you want to sell it. Well, guess what? Now you have to pay an additional 5.5% tax, okay, just to sell it to somebody else. So this could cause prices to skyrocket because now the people who are selling their properties, they want to make up for that huge loss they're taking in order to pay the tax. It could also cause other effects like a lot less properties being for sale, properties being transferred way less often. People deciding not to build in the city because they have to pay this tax if they want to sell it. So they're going to be like, hey, why would I even build there? It's going to cost us all of our profit in this ridiculous tax. It's a bad move. It is very, very bad. And they don't seem to understand this because when the socialists put these policies into place, they think of the best case scenario, like everybody's going to continue like normal and they just pay the tax. That is not the way things happen, okay? The taxes have a detrimental effect on people's actions and things will change very, very quickly. And you see this in places where new laws such as the rent control policy in St. Paul, Minnesota was put in place, right? They thought, oh, well, that it won't change anything. Well, guess what? Development dropped by 80% when they put that law into place. Well, the same thing could happen with this transfer tax in Los Angeles. They could see development drop to nothing. They could see transfers of properties drop to nothing. And the ones who do transfer are selling for sky high prices. You can see rents skyrocketing because now property owners have to cover the losses from this huge transfer tax. So yeah, this is bad. Why don't they figure this stuff out before they pass these stupid laws? Because you know what, they can't. They don't have any understanding of economics. They don't have any understanding because they think in the world of fantasy where the government's going to pay for everything. Well, it doesn't work. Yet while some affordable housing developers have been celebrating, many real estate players, including luxury brokers, have bitterly opposed the new tax, arguing it will not only cool residential and commercial sales, but also backfire by actually stifling housing development. Some also took particular issue with the measure's failure to account for a given property deal's net profit or loss. The way the law is written, a homeowner who sells a house for $5 million pays the same transfer tax whether he bought the home for $3 million or $10 million. Yeah, and that's another point that I didn't even think about right there. Now imagine you bought a property for $10 million like they said right there, right? And then you sell it for $5 million. You took a $5 million loss and now you have to pay a transfer tax on top of it. So now you're taking a double loss. The government's taking the loss of money that can you believe that they even have ridiculous stuff like this? Okay, so this policy wasn't well thought out. Okay, that's the simple truth. and it's going to have a very, very bad effect on Los Angeles. I feel bad for the landlords up there, the property owners up there, and I know what a lot of people were thinking, oh, this is only going to affect the rich. But, like I said before, it's going to affect everybody there, okay? It's going to affect you in ways that you haven't even seen yet.